on the line. Race day at Suzuka. Japan Cup comes to its 2025 conclusion with the GT3 three-way battle about to be resolved. If you win the race, you win the championship. It's as simple as that. After that, it gets a bit more complicated if our three championship contenders are a bit lower down. There's one outsider, which we'll worry about in a moment, but it's going to be a fascinating final hour to what has been a great season. A variety of winners in terms of teams, drivers and manufacturers. And for this final round of the championship, we are good to go at Suzuka, having last been at Okayama, Fuji prior to that, and in mid-June kicked off at Sugo. These four Japanese circuits, all great challenges, and they've all delivered great racing. Japan Cup that began as a race within a race, now very much a successful standalone series, and it has generated some fantastic action all season long. David Anderson and Joe Osborne trackside, Amy Izawa down on the grid, and so too on the grid is our pre-race performance of Yosakoi dance. It's performed by the Rin Group. Yosakoi is a festival dance. It originated in the Kochai Prefecture, characterized by dancers holding wooden clappers, known as Naruko. The dance combines traditional elements with modern music and dance, making it both energetic and expressive as a performance style. The Rin Group is an organisation in the Mie Prefecture that engages in dance and Yosakoi, and they are entertaining the fans as we build up to our final Japan Cup race of 2025. Now, nearly 6 kilometre long is the Suzuka circuit, and Joe, what a lap it is.
Yeah, a real mix, that's what we keep saying. Sector 1 has the fast-flowing S-curves, and then Sector 2 really much more technical, that slow turn 11 through the infamous spoon, and then the daring 130R, and that final tight chicane as well. We've seen plenty of action already this weekend. It's fast, it's flowing, and it's very difficult as a driver to make sure there's no mistakes out there.
Incredibly humid this weekend, and we were talking yesterday about the elevation change around Suzuka. It struck me last night running around the place that there's an awful lot more up than there is down. As far as the championship is concerned, going into this race on 104 points, Akihiro Suzuki and Shintaro Kawabata on 99, the pseudonym Banksy. He doesn't drive solo, but he's on a different number of points from his co-driver, so he does have a second driver to help him out here. And Shinji Takai and Ukiya Sasahara third on 97. Now, fourth are Keiko Zolino and Akihiro Suzuki. They could, as real outsiders, take the championship. Yorikatsu Suzuki and Keiko Zolino, the outsiders. It is mathematically possible, but it is really a tall order. A three-way fight, then, in real terms, is what we're looking at. And if you win the race, you're going to win the championship. And championship leader Kawabata is with Amy Izawa on the grid.
ジャパンカップ最終戦の舞台鈴鹿サーキットへようこそ。今週末ですね、鈴鹿1000キロ、そしてジャパンカップという贅沢な週末となってますけれども、大変盛り上がってます。そしてここもだいぶ盛り上がってます。川端選手、お誕生日おめでとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
チャンピオンシップですね、 P1 でこの位置からのスタート、勝てばチャンピオンとなります。意気込みを教えてください。
はい、トップ3勝ったもん勝ちだと思うんで、頑張ります。みんなで準備してきたことを出し切るだけだと思うんで、精一杯みんなで戦います。はい、
本当ね、自分への誕生日プレゼントと考えてスタート大事になってくると思うので頑張ってください。
はい、誕生日はおめでとうって言われないように頑張ります。
応援してます。To our international fans, English translation here. So it is his birthday today, so he is very much wishing for his birthday win. He doesn't want people to be saying, oh, it was your birthday, but so yes, he will try his best. Also, they prepared well, so he will race his heart out and he will see where it goes, because a win is a win of the championship. Back to you.
Amy, thanks very much. They finished in yesterday's race in third place, so they get 5 extra seconds to carry into the pit stops. Let's do the admin. Pit window, 25 to 35 minutes. If you're in a GT3 car, you stop for 90 seconds. That's pit in to pit out line. GT4 is 125 seconds. But then if you're in the top 3, you carry 15, 10 or 5 seconds extra. So the winners yesterday, Takeshi Kobayashi and Akita, who made the very bold decision to go onto slicks on a drying track rather than a fresh set of wets. They've got 15 seconds. The pole car of Keiko Zolino and Yorikatsu Suzuki, they're on 10, and as I've just said, 5 seconds for Kawabata and Suzuki. Let's get back down to the grid and hear from Taichi Watarai from the Treble Six Porsche.
さあそしてこちらですね、渡来選手、現在チャンピオンシップ P2 につけておりますけれども、バンクシー選手にですね、こうウィンを捧げたい気持ちたくさんあると思うんですけれども、どんな気持ちで走りますか？
そうですね、もちろんこのチャンピオンシップ、今、ランキング2位ですけど、本当にチャンピオンかかってるんで、とにかく僕はもう前でゴールして、ちゃんとバンクシー選手にバトンを渡したいなと思います。全力で頑張りたいと思います。
応援してますんで頑張ってください。So as they are currently in P2, he will also drive his heart out. He will push as much as he can and wants to give the car back to Banksy as much in the front as possible. So he will really, really try his best. That's what he said. Back to you.
Thanks, Amy. And Taichi Watarai, as you gathered from the helmet, is going to be the start driver. Now, Banksy is the pseudonymed co-driver. As we go back to our pre-race performance, Banksy on a different number of points from Watarai. They haven't done the whole season together, so Watarai is very much here in a support role to help Banksy. And again, he comes into this being 5 points back in the championship, does Banksy. So it is certainly possible that he's going to win and doesn't have any extra time to serve in the pits.
No, Watarai is the only silver-graded driver out of the pros that are in the championship mix, so that is something to factor in. The other two gold-rated drivers, Sashihara has been on double duty as well, hasn't he? So he's getting double the track time, and Kawabata as well, gold-rated. So that's something to keep an eye out. And yeah, Watarai obviously not in the championship himself, so it's a strange aspect for him that he's purely there to deliver it for his co-driver in Banksy.
Now, yesterday's race, just very quickly, started on a wet track and dried, and it was during the pit stops that the Ferrari that won, Akita's car, crewed with him, and Takashi Kobayashi went on to slicks. It took a lap and a half or so for them to switch on, and then they were dynamite. Our pre-race dance, keeping everybody entertained. Great stuff from the Yosaki dance movement, the Rin group performing for us, and the Yosakoi performance continuing on the grid at the very front. Let's get back to the grid and hear from the third place crew yesterday. Amy's with them.
さあ、チャンピオンシップ現在3位につけておりますけれども、武井選手、勝てば条件付きではなるんですけれども、チャンピオンがもう王手かけているところでございます。どんな気持ちで走りますか？
そうですね、泣いても笑っても最終戦なので、なんですかね、このジャパンカップに参戦できた、いろんな協力があって参戦できたんですけども、車を提供していただいた LM コルサさんとか、あとはチームスタッフとか、本当すべての人に感謝しながら、最終戦なんで楽しみながら、あと僕のスプリントは笹原選手の作ったギャップをどこまで保つかっていうレースになると思うんですけど、今持てる力をすべて発揮して頑張りたいと思います。
そして今週末、ダブルヘッダーということで大忙しなんですけれども、しっかり寝てきました？
そうですね、コンディションはすごい難しいっていうか、だけど、これもなかなか貴重な体験なので、人生一度きりなので、大いに楽しもうかなと思っています。はい。
もう精一杯応援してますんで頑張ってください。
ありがとうございます。よろしくお願いします。
So as this is a double header this weekend for this team, I asked him whether he rested well over Saturday to Sunday, and he said, oh, the conditions are a little bit bad. Well, despite he's having an injury on his foot, I guess he slept well. It is quite an honor to be racing in this race, to also be in the Suzuka 1000. So he is very, very glad that he can do this experience once in his lifetime. Also, he really wants Sasahara to just pull the margin, the gap to the behind car as much as he can, and Takei will try on his stint to keep the margin as much as he can. And yeah, finally he said he will laugh or cry at the end, but will have a happy race for the team, and he's very grateful for LM Corsa that they prepared the car this well. Back to you.
Thanks, Amy. Shinji Takei, yeah, we heard about that foot injury yesterday, and he and 8 others are doing double duty, not only the 2 Japan Cup races, but also the Suzuka 1000 kilometres as well. So one assumes it's not troubling him too much to commit to all that track time.
Yeah, he was just off the pace yesterday for what we've seen on him all season. He qualified in 10th and was running there in the race, and I think that's going to be the hard thing for him. He said he's having to adapt from his usual left foot braking to right foot braking due to an injury, so that is going to be difficult for them. We'll keep an eye on that subplot halfway through the race once he gets in the car.
And Keiko Zolino is going to start this race on pole position. Mega stint yesterday to finish second. Back to Amy.
さあ、こちらケイコツォリの選手なんですけれども、今週末ダブルヘッダーをポールでのスタートということで、幸先いいですね。
そうですね、ようやくいい走りができて結果に結びつけられたことができてよかったし、最終戦で初ポールということでいいですね。はい。
じゃ今週末大忙しなのでね、今日鈴鹿1000キロもあるんで、はい、しっかりと熱いレース見せて午後も頑張ってください。ね。
頑張ります。ありがとうございます。
Yes, so as they're also contesting in both of the races, Japan Cup and Suzuka 1000. It looks good starting from P1 this weekend, and it was his first pole position this season, so he's very happy to be able to start from this position. He will try his best, and well, ending the season with this start is really wholesome for him, so he will appreciate the race as well. And yes, we'll try his best. Back to you.
Thanks, Amy. Keiko Zolino there on pole position. We first came across him really with great success in Lamborghini Super Trofeo in Europe, but he's made a great reputation for himself, winning races over, of course, in Asia. He raced for a spell in the WEC as Asian teams headed into that as well. But Keiko Zolino, very, very fast and a pretty fiery competitor at times. There is Naoki Yokomitsu in the Maizawa Racing Ferrari. That's another partnership doing double duty. They've got a second chassis for the Suzuka 1000 kilometers back this weekend for the first time since 2019. So the grid is formed. Now there's a gap, is there not? Looking down onto the grid. I thought there might be a car missing there, but
potentially row 5 it looked like. Was it the K-Tunes car that should be there?
Fukuzima's car, you're quite right. That was 11th in the race yesterday. Now it might be that it's in the pit lane starting there, but looking down onto the grid, yeah, there is a gap ahead of Ruichiro Oyagi's orange Nissan.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything from pit lane, so hopefully they can make a pit lane start. Of course, really puts them on the back foot, potentially misses any turn 1 carnage though.
It does, and you save yourself a lap of fuel, I guess. There are traditionally 2 green flag laps for this as well. The second one when the clock starts, so it's just to get tyres up to temperature. So a second formation lap, and that's race director Peter Daly's normal plan. You're on board there with Naoki Yokomitsu. So the grid is formed, and yeah, there's no suggestion of anybody starting from the pit lane. At the 1 minute board, the engines will fire. And yesterday's race was really interesting, wasn't it, because of the rain. This is going to be fascinating because of the championship situation. Taichi Watarai then starting Banksy's Porsche. And pole position to Keiko Zolino with Ukio Sasahara, another experienced driver lining up alongside. Sasahara is another who's doing the Suzuka 1000 kilometers this weekend, and a driver that raced in Europe in single-seaters, as well as winning the FIA Motorsport Games GT element at Vallelunga. He and Japan coming out on top. That was way back in 2019, the first running of it in the wet conditions that we had. Engines fire, so mechanic sticks his hand in and says fire it up. Fist bumps Ukio Sasahara to wish him well. Sasahara and Shinji Takei driving the Callaway Corvette in the Suzuka 1000, and it's all very well doing all these races over a weekend. It's one thing switching from one chassis to another, but they're jumping from 2 completely different cars, and you sort of wonder whether that's the ideal prep for a championship win here. That's what they're after.
It couldn't be more different as well. That very modern 296 mid-engine to the oldest GT3 we have here this weekend in a front-engine Corvette, but shows the versatility of it. Headlights ablaze on our front row. They turned on exactly the same time, so that was a nice shot to finish what's been an amazing championship for Japan Cup. Now, like you said, David, its own grid, which is mega. GT3 strong. GT4 is getting better, and again, next year's calendar already announced, exactly the same tracks, exactly the same format, and hopefully Japan Cup will just go from strength to strength.
let's just touch on GT4. That was wrapped up yesterday in favour of the number 39 Toyota Crew, the car of Saito Nonaka, who is going to start, and Haridama Manopo. They won 6 out of 6 coming into this weekend, and yesterday they won the championship and didn't win for the first time all year. So it was a kind of bittersweet result. First time they'd been knocked off the top step of the podium, but they did take a championship. They've had a great year.
They really have, haven't they? And really, they didn't win yesterday because they went conservative on the tyres. They stayed on wets, whereas the Porsche behind them today went to slicks.
So everybody away from the grid. Pole in GT4 AM taken by the number 15 Porsche of Hiroaki Nagasawa. Pole position in GT4 Silver AM to the aforementioned Saito Nonaka. We've got a GT Cup category as well, dominated this year by Tiger Wu in one of the most spectacularly liveried cars. That's the 911 GT3 Cup Porsche. GT3 AM, it is Hirokatsu Suzuki on pole position, and he won the championship yesterday along with Takeo Uematsu, and then the outright GT3 pole to Ken Cozzolino, and he shares the Ponos Racing Ferrari with Yorikatsu Suzuka. Ken Cozzolino on pole position, Ukiyo Sasahara lining up with him at the front of the grid. On the second row, it is birthday boy Shintaro Kawabata, and Takeshi Kobayashi is going to line up alongside yesterday's winner in number 18, the yellow Ferrari. Therefore, 15 seconds compensation time in the pits. Fifth on the grid, Naoki Yokomitsu, and alongside him, Taku Bamba, who was really rapid yesterday and indeed set the fastest lap of the race. Next up, the car that was on pole yesterday, Yuya Motojima and Taichi Watarai, Mercedes AMG and Porsche together, ahead of Mirai Fukuzumi and Hirokatsu Suzuki yesterday, winning both the class and the championship in AM. Ryuichi Oyagi is next with Kazuki Ota alongside Masayuki Ueda in the Akiland Racing Mercedes AMG next, with Atsushi Tanaka's run-up sports Nissan next, and that car doing these two races and the 1,000 kilometres as well. Not another chassis, that same car doing everything. Tiger Wu 15th on the grid and heading GT4 Saito Nonaka lining up alongside ahead of Takeshi Suhiro, yesterday's GT4 winner, and Hiroaki Nagasawa is alongside with Terence Say, newcomer to the championship, the Hong Kong driver, completing the grid. He copped a penalty yesterday for speeding in the pit lane, and the car had a spin, and it was a bit of a torrid time, but the team new to the championship, it's a Japanese team running 2 Hong Kong drivers. It qualifies for the Japan Cup because it's a Japanese team and entrant, and there is the Toyota Supra. That's going to start at the rear of the grid. Safety car then, pace car as it is, stays out, and the race is officially underway because this second green flag lap is within the time, and that's the answer to the question about number 96 that hopefully is going to be allowed out at the end of this lap, otherwise it goes a lap down. But 96 is going to have to start from the pit lane.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to know what the problem was, and sometimes on fire up in the morning something's failed overnight and it's a change, but once the pit exit closes to get to the grid, that's your only option, is to start the race from pit lane.
And the team awaiting a green light at the end of the pit lane to release them. There is the green light. So, in theory, the car should now go, but Mirai Fukuzumi, yes, does get it going, but that suggests that still all is not well there. Could it be no, I was going to say a clutch problem, but that wouldn't affect you for a rolling start, would it?
No, and it's still not up to pace.
No.
He's a lap less on the heat of his tyres as well. I think he's got to get past the very rapid medical car as well. So, yeah, some work to do for the Lexus before we've even got going.
So that joins the race from the pits, and it's going to have to start at the back. Won't be allowed to overtake, of course. As you see there, the pole man, Ken Cozzolino, in number 45, the Ponos Racing Ferrari 296, the team owned by his co-driver, Yorikatsu Tsujiko, and Ken Cozzolino, the Japanese-Italian, Formula Toyota, Formula Challenge Japan champion, drove in the World Touring Car Championship, briefly had an outing at Macau 13 years or so ago, won Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia, won Asian Le Mans GT, won GT World Challenge Asia back in 2022, and a very accomplished driver is Ken Cozzolino. He's spent most of his recent career racing in Japan, in Asia, but as I say, when we see him in Europe, always goes well. On board with the Porsche now, good variety of brands at the front of the grid here.
Yeah, it really is a good split. A lot of Ferrari 296s, but the balanced performance allowing that Porsche to be as rapid. We saw a very fast Mercedes yesterday as well, and the Nissan has been quick in the AM class, so a real good breakdown of cars in this Japan Cup field. And yeah, you talk about Kozolina, he at the moment is the fastest GT3 lap around here at Suzuka. That's why he's on pole position, but that was faster than any of the laps done in the Suzuka 1000 qualifying last night as well. So that car's got some very quick car.
We understand 96 is an engine problem. Amy has been to investigate this for us in the pit lane, so it's an engine drama. Cars to watch then for the championship: 296 Ferrari, treble 6 Porsche, and 9 Ferrari. And very much outsider is 45 there of Kozolino. It could mathematically win it, but it would need the other 3 to have huge amounts of bad luck. So it's an outsider, but you know, you never know what might happen. But they're the key cars to look for. Japan Cup has had a great season. There's one more fascinating race in prospect then. Lights out atop the pace car as it is, which will come through the chicane and then drop down that steep descent. It will come to the pit lane. The cars will accelerate up towards the line. This enables 96, assuming it's healthy, to slot into position at the rear of the grid. And it is going to be for the start proper, if you like, side by side. Here they come up towards the grid then. So we are ready to go racing for the final time this year in Japan Cup. Pole position, Kozolino. Sasahara with him on the outside. It's a slightly untidy start, but the lights will flick to green any second to get the race underway. It's a long drag to the start line. Start and finish lines in different places at Suzuka like they are elsewhere. Lights go out, we go racing, and it's going to be toe-to-toe. The 2 Ferraris down towards the first curve. On the inside line is Kozolino. Watrai, the Porsche, makes a big send up the inside and goes forth. The Ferraris are still side by side. Sasahara on the outside of Kozolino for the lead. Kozolino just emerges ahead then. So, from pole position, Kozolino's first pole is translated into the race lead. He's got Ukiya Sasahara right behind him in second place. Kawabata is third, and Watrai is up to 4th. That was a good start.
I think it might be Bamber in third. He sent it round the outside. He was P6 on the grid, but he just made it 3 wide. And I thought Kawabata was way too far behind the pole sitter of Kozolina, and that just allowed the gap to be filled. And it's been a clean start so far, but not a good start for the 296.
Which, of course, comes into this as the championship leading car. Maybe Kawabata was being a bit too cautious away from the line. However, he's got some work to do on board then now as the cars accelerate downhill with treble 6. That's the Watrai, then Banksy Porsche. Behind him, you've got number 18 of Takeshi Kobayashi as the cars come through the hairpin, and another steep climb up towards 200R. Field turns through the hairpin. So Kozolino leading, Sasahara second. It is Takubamba third, Watrai 4th, Kobayashi 5th, Kawabata then down in 6th place.
Yeah, it's a great start from this Porsche as well. That was P8. They're up to 4th. So that P6, P8 area of the grid had a mega jump. I wonder if they timed it just right. The lights seem to stay red forever and ever. There's a few cars second-guessing when to go, and maybe these guys second-guessed it the best. But Takubamba was quick in the race yesterday as well. He had the fastest lap of the race, and at the moment the Porsche looking strong. 3 Ferraris in front. Let's start to see where the strengths and weaknesses are of this rear engine flat 6 Porsche.
We did have 1 or 2 cars as well pulling out of the file, didn't we, and then dropping back in, and that may get looked at by race controllers. At the end of lap number 2, first racing lap, they come into the chicane. That's Kawabata, and off the road has gone the Porsche. A mistake there made by Watrai.
Yeah, locked the front right under braking there. Of course, all GT3s have ABS. He managed to get out of it and roll through the chicane. I don't think that would attract a penalty because there was an obvious force measure and there wasn't a massive advantage gained. But he will be worrying, is that a problem with the ABS, or is it still just cold tyres, cold brakes, and maybe a damp spot in the brake zone there?
Yeah, he was 4th into the chicane and 4th the other side, and look at that for 5th, absolutely overlapping now. Kobayashi and Kawabata. Kobayashi stays ahead, but he's absolutely on the limit as Yokomitsu gets in on the act as well. Yokomitsu in the white Ferrari. How about this? The 3 of them absolutely nose to tail. Kobayashi, Kawabata, Yokomitsu, the 3 of them, and the car in the middle, the black and Dayglow Ferrari, is the one coming into this as the championship lead car. Kawabata now needs to forget about birthday cake and get on with the program because he's hemorrhaging points.
Yeah, it's been a terrible first few laps, and this is as a driver where you need to steady the ship, stay calm, don't make a rash decision just because you've made a bad start. You don't need to now go the other way and make it worse by being too aggressive. He's just dropped off the back of that yellow Ferrari now, but the Mercedes now making that a 4-car battle, and at the moment it looks like Kobayashi is holding everyone up. And look at those progress positions gained. It is 3 and 4 for Bamba, and we're Wataru, respectively.
There is Watarai then, still trying to push on. Fastest lap of the race thus far to Bamba, but there's a long way to go, of course. Let's have a replay of the start. You'll see one or two people from the mid-pack pulling out of the draft, but then keep an eye on the yellow Porsche and keep an eye as well on Bamba's Ferrari.
Yeah, it's the white Ferrari, the 555 going for me. Bamba and the Porsche did everything legally. They did it differently. They split. They're almost four wide there. Porsche goes to the inside. Bamba sweeps around the outside, and that's where they made the positions before they even got to the apex of turn one. Great start for Bamba and the Porsche of Watari.
And Kawabata came out of the corner ahead of Kobayashi, but then lost out over the remainder of the lap. So there he is still behind him. Look, there is Kawabata in that largely black Ferrari. Yokomitsu is still behind him. Don't forget, of course, they're going to have an extra 5 seconds to serve in the pits as well, as over the line comes with its 10 seconds extra to serve the Keiko Zarino car, Ukiya Sasahara. No extra time to serve, so that's going to swing the pendulum back in their direction. Taichi Watarai goes through in 4th place in the Porsche. That's another ship steadied, isn't it now, seemingly after his dramas on the opening race lap. So he comes out of 1st and 2nd curve up towards the S's. Fastest lap now to Keiko Zarino as he tries to break away up front.
Just starting to look at sector times. The Porsche is very strong in sector 1. Here is the Porsche start, so the lights are going to go green now. The initial jump wasn't great, was it? And then there's a bit of concertina up. We have to swerve around the Mercedes. Now we're going to cut right hard. You can see him check the mirror. That's great driving. We're nearly 4 wide at this point. Knows his braking point perfectly. Bamba sweeps across the front, and that is a very, very clean and strong start from both this Porsche and Bamba in front, and that's really allowed them to get on the front foot and keep with the leading 2 Ferraris of Kozolina and Sasahara.
And as we stand, this would give the championship to Takei and Sasahara by 3 points from Suzuki and Kawabata. So Sasahara, running second, is currently ahead in the championship.
Just looking at Kozolina last time back, fastest lap of the race, 3/10 quicker than Sasahara that we're looking at here in the number 9 car. Sasahara seemingly doesn't have the pace, and actually it's Bamba behind who's now looking slightly stronger on this lap. We ride on board with Sasahara coming into 1/3 yard, 250 kilometers now. It's the slightest of lifts. You can just hear them breathe off the throttle, no brake. Got to be careful of track limits, and then suddenly you're on the brakes. So it's very tight chicane, 250 kilometers an hour, all the way down to 80. It's a big, big break. It's an overtaking opportunity, but you need to run through the previous corner at 1/30 yard to make it work.
Race leaders then coming over the line. Taku Bamba is the other one to keep an eye on in this. He's no threat for the championship, but we know he's quick, and while that car is up there, it can be taking points away from others in the title fight. So over the timing line they go, and 296 then, still Kawabata trying to find a way past Kobayashi. The championship situation's a tad academic, given how we've still got, what, 49 minutes to go, but that car needs to get itself into at least 4th place to stand any chance of being in the hunt. The good news is that it is in contention, but equally Kawabata has some more time to drop on the pit stops. It's all going to really ignite in the 2nd stint. That's when we have a proper idea of who is where and what needs to happen.
Yep, and his teammate Suzuki was quick yesterday, 4th in his qualifying session, good in the race, so everything's still on for the 296, but it needs to go forward 2 positions from where it currently sits in 6th. And like you said, David, 5 extra seconds in the pit stop isn't going to help that matter either.
So advantage at the moment, Sasahara and Takei, and the problem now that Kawabata has got is he's trying to get past a car of comparable pace. The Ferrari 296s, same chassis. There is one in clean air, race leading Kozolino coming down towards the hairpin then. He will swing his way through turn 11, back onto the power and make the climb up now towards 200R, that long right-hander, and then the double apex left of Spoon Curve. Kawabata presses on. Pit window, remember, 25 to 35 minutes. But here you've got the higher graded driver, theoretically the quicker driver starting. They'll go a bit longer than the AMs did in their stint yesterday.
Yeah, hopefully not as long as the Nissan yesterday, which missed the pit window, didn't it, by 2 seconds in the AM class.
Oh, Yagi's car, yeah.
Exactly that. So we're just looking now at the GT4s. Here's our car that's won the championship, won every single race, bar the one yesterday where they won the championship in. And at the moment, it's looking very comfortable for this 39 Toyota at the moment. Still the Porsche behind, and staying with them okay at the moment, but the Porsche lacking what it seems a tiny bit of race pace.
GT4 cars with less aero do move around a lot, and this car always seems to have a lot of effort put in. It's always hustled along very successfully. Seitan Onaka, you're riding with the GT4 class leader, GT4 champion, coming up to 130R. Big deep breath, push the car in, and then hard on the brakes for the chicane, and then you drop downhill to the start line.
Yeah, you can see the GT4s need that tiny break through 130R, like the lack of aero you were talking about, David. They're still very quick at the end of the straight. It's only 15 kilometers an hour slower into 130R. As we look at our M-class leader in GT4, we've got such a inter-Porsche Toyota battle, haven't we, in both GT4 classes.
Yeah, this is Hiroaki Nagasawa, 18th place overall, keeping Terence Tsay at bay, and coming then now out of the chicane, this long, steep drop downhill. Of course, makes pit work quite interesting when you're on a descent like that. There's the leader then, Kei Cozzolino, working lap 6 here. And he's getting away, isn't he, now, from Mukio Sasahara. Now, is that because Sasahara can't match the pace, or is he just keeping out of trouble and banking points? One would think that they would quite like to stay much closer to Cozzolino, bearing in mind that he's got 10 seconds extra to serve on the pit lane, the race-leading car. They're going to inherit the lead, but they don't want to be dropping too far back.
No, he's going to be within the 10 seconds, isn't he?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I can't imagine they're managing pace for that reason. He would be pushing on as hard as he can, and Bamba not that far behind, 1.6 seconds behind last time around. So that will still be a concern for Sasahara at the moment.
Kei Cozzolino, we know he's always very, very quick. He was a GT World Challenge Asia winner here in an absolutely mega stint going back to 2022. There is Taichi Watarai coming through the chicane. Now, the Porsche is 4th, and a bit like yesterday, it's there or thereabouts. Made that brilliant start, but then Watarai has not been able to build on that. Yesterday's winner, Takashi Kobayashi, is 5th. Championship leader coming into the race, Shintaro Kawabata, 6th, and then Naoki Yokomitsu in the white and red Ferrari in 7th place. Staring at the back of Kawabata, but not able to do very much about him. So this Ferrari Challenge battle rounds second curve, and there you can see Yokomitsu has got a bit stuck behind Kawabata. Kawabata likewise, he can't crack Kobayashi.
Yeah, it's a difficult circuit in many regards to follow a car, the dirty air that we'll be experiencing right now. Through these medium to high speed, anything 3rd gear and above, you just start to get the aero wash in the car in front, and the 296 is a very aero dependent car these days. So when you're following one, the dirty air is even worse, and then when you're in one, that's multiplied as well. So it's very difficult to make a move in sector 1, and then you start to work your front tyre harder, and then it's harder to stay with the car in front, and it's very much a slippery slope in that regard.
Through the Degma curves then and drop down underneath the circuit. There's a figure-of-8 style track, of course, the Suzuka circuit, so you'll see the leaders going over the top of this part very shortly. Out of the hairpin, the climb uphill. It's always more up than down, it feels, at Suzuka, and they're a bit stuck, as I say, in that 6th place then from 3rd on the grid, Shintaro Kawabata, who, if he could do the start all over again, would no doubt do it differently, but dropped those 3 places, as we've been saying, and now struggles to make the progress. 4 places gained, though, by Watarai in the Porsche, 3 by Bamba, and Kawabata junking 3 off the grid. So, this is the leader, Kei Cozzolino, heading towards 130R for the 7th time of asking, and all he can do here is just push and push and push. They've got to win the race to have any chance at anything in the championship. Even then, it's a forlorn hope, but all he can do is drive as fast as possible. Trouble is, he's going to lose 10 seconds in the pits by yesterday's success.
Yeah, they need the 296 to not finish the race. That's the big one. As soon as the 296 scores points inside the top 10, it means that that 45 car cannot win the championship, and that's why really it's a 3-horse race, isn't it, between Ferraris, and yeah, I think at the moment I would say Sasahara is the favourite in the 9 car. 2nd at the moment, no pit stop penalty. If it stays as it is, they would inherit the championship.
Dropping back though, isn't he now, Kawabata from Kobayashi? That gap has stretched a little bit. 2 laps ago they were pretty much as one coming through turns 3, 4 and 5 here, heading through the Asura curve and then up towards the anti-banked curve. Right now though, that margin has stretched, as you see there going through the 2nd place car of Mukio Sasahara, the Bingo Sports entry, and drivers getting ready for their stints. There you can see the driver that's going to take over, Shinji Takei. Number 9, this car from Ukiya Sasahara.
Just for our Lexi fans as well, that car is boxed on the last lap after running okay and actually getting past a GT3 car in the process. That car has returned to box. Engine issues overnight obviously have resurfaced for the 96.
So that is Nirai Fukuzumi to the pit lane. This is Ukiya Sasahara's view. You'd think he was the race leader because you can't see Kei Cozzolino. He's escaped by 3 seconds up the road, heading towards the hairpin and the climb the other side of it. And then the spoon curve that goes on and on. The road will drop, and then there's another climb up past the support race control building on the right-hand side.
A lot of understeer in that car, so you can see Sasahara having to put a lot of steering lock in to get the car where he wanted it to go, and that just means that you're unable to attack the corners. The positive of understeer is normally the bronze-graded driver prefers that. They don't like an active rear that's going to spook them, so maybe the 9 car more balanced for the AM than for the Pro, so maybe we'll see a swing in that regard. Maybe Cozzolino has got the car where he wants it and he's maybe not factoring in his teammate. Let's see as we get closer to the pit window.
So over the line goes Sasahara, but the depressing thing for him is that that gap is now 3.7 seconds. He lost another 0.4 or so on that lap, and he can't see the race leader. This is sort of damage limitation a little bit now by Sasahara. He does not have the pace to go after Cozzolino. Then it becomes the battle of the co-drivers, doesn't it? And to whether Takei with his injury is going to be on the same sort of a pace as will be Yoshiko Suzuki in the number 45 Ferrari. There, still 7th for the Maezawa team is Yokomitsu. So Naoki Yokomitsu turns his way out then of the anti-banked curve. He's heading towards another climb in a moment as they will go through the Nippo corner and make the run up towards the 2 elements of the Degner curve. Wattrai in that Porsche not being able to go after the leading Ferraris, is it? He's very much settled, and after that great start, he's 11 seconds back behind the leader, so Banks' chances are also looking less likely. However, that car also no extra time to serve in the pits. That will bring it slightly closer to the hunt.
Yeah, and Banksy was looking quick yesterday, so he'll be feeling confident against his peers in the second half of this race. And of course, a safety car would really shake it up, wouldn't it? It would close all these gaps up, especially after the pit window. If you are one of the 3 cars with a compensation time, the 45 car has 10 seconds, the 296 car has 5, and then the 18 has 15. So there are 3 GT3 cars as the leaders are starting to work their way through the GT4 backmarkers.
Yeah, Terence Say in the Toyota has gone a lap down. There in second place, Ukiya Sasahara on the lights to warn the traffic of his progress as he comes out of 130R into the chicane, dives past on the inside, no problem, and then goes right and left and right again through the chicane. The leader has just dropped downhill out of the chicane to head to the line. There's second place man Sasahara going by them, and the margin last lap was 3.7 seconds. It's up to 3.8 seconds now as they go through, and for third is Taku Bamba. And Bamba is lapping slower as well, so he's falling away, but it's still a really big gap, isn't it, between those 3 leading Ferraris and Wattrai in 4th place. And perhaps equally surprisingly is that there's a gap then to Kobayashi.
Yeah, it's really ebbed and flowed, and actually Kawabata is showing where he should be because he just sat on the back of Kobayashi the whole race, isn't he? And that would be hugely frustrating, and again shows the importance of a good start. If you can get on the front foot like the Porsche, you would probably say the Porsche is out of position positively as they make their way past that Toyota in a really awkward place. Toyota doing a good job there, Terence Say, but it's not an easy place. It's relatively narrow there for a modern circuit. But yeah, Kawabata, birthday boy, of course, will not be happy with his start. Every lap he's stuck behind Kobayashi in front, he'll be ruining that.
But he is closer again. Now, think back a couple of laps, the point was made that the gap had stretched. Now Kawabata is having another push, isn't he? So clearly the message is getting through. You need to stop trying to narrow the gap. You need to be gaining places here. So Kawabata from 3rd on the grid. Shintaro Kawabata comes out of the hairpin. But Concertina's there as Yokomitsu gets a little bit nearer to him. He doesn't want to have to worry about what's going on behind. He wants to solely concentrate on pushing and attacking up the road ahead.
Yeah, and actually Sashihara quicker than Kozolina in sector 1. The GT4 AM leading Porsche in that sector, so maybe that was just a slight bit of traffic influence on our race leader, but they come through sector 2 now, and it's gone back the other way. So Sashihara steadied the ship a bit with his last lap, only a 10th slower. That had been on average 4.5 for the start of this race, so maybe it's just starting to go away from Kozolina, and that gap, maybe if we can keep it under 5 seconds, we'll definitely keep it in a positive fashion for the 9 car in second.
Just wondering as well whether Watarai might not be being caught a little bit by Kobayashi. The last lap the gap had stretched, and the sector times, the middle sector is certainly a little bit quicker for Kawabata than the Porsche. So as they come across the timing line, that margin 0.7 of a second between them, and that time around Kawabata dropping time again to Kobayashi. Kobayashi still doing his level best to get onto turns with Watarai. So yeah, it's all rather elasticated, isn't it? One corner it stretches, the next one it shrinks, and that's 4th, 5th, 5th, 6th, 6th, 7th.
Yeah, and drivers always making sure they're relaxed as possible, and it's almost more of a distraction now, I think, than a physical relaxation. The worst you can do as the co-driver when you're about to get in is just fixate yourself on the race and start stressing about things that you can't influence. And yeah, Sashihara here at the moment in the box seat for the championship. Will that stay the same after the pit stop? So we've already said a potential foot injury for his co-driver is making life harder.
Yeah, Takei does look nervous, it's got to be said. There is number 296 of Kawabata. He's going to give that car over to Akihiro Suzuki for the second stint in the race, and again the 3 Ferraris all concertinaing. Now we're not that far off the pit window opening at the 25-minute mark, but these cars you can anticipate will go through that window to a greater degree in order to give the pro driver behind the wheel a greater chance. The only reason you might sort of stop out of sequence is if you're stuck in traffic, I guess. There is Kawabata coming down then through Spoon Curve once again. Fastest lap of the race to Kei Kozolino, as now pretty much ready to go is Shinji Takei. And he's had the massage. He's now got to focus on getting himself into this car in a few laps' time as Ukio Sasahara comes through the chicane. Riding with the Ferrari, road drops down the hill and he comes up towards the line, and let's see what the margin is. Kei Kozolino goes through 4.3 seconds up the road now. Sasahara in second place, driving his own race, still leading the championship.
Yeah, he's the only car as well that can stay in the 2-minute 2 lap times. Everyone else 2:03s for second and third cars, and then 2:04s for this battle we're looking at here, the Porsches included in those lap times. So the lap times really starting to drop off as well now. High degradation circuit on the tyre, so drivers now just starting to have less grip than they had at the start, even though they're burning through the fuel 3 kilos a lap they're burning. So every lap you're getting lighter and the car feels better, but the tyre going off quicker than you're burning the fuel for lap time gain.
Banksy ready to go, another driver that races under a pseudonym. And there is the car that he will take over then, the 7x7 Porsche, and the pit window is now open, but we're not anticipating any early callers. Kei Kozolino continues to lead as out of the second deck of the curve comes the Porsche then. Tail wags ever so slightly as it drops down the hill, and then just as you get to the bottom, yet another climb. Even though there's a hairpin here, you're going uphill as you turn through the corner on this John Hugenholtz designed circuit. Japan Cup operating as a support series this weekend to the return of the Suzuka 1000, all part of an SRO Motorsports Group weekend. Sasahara in second place then, leading the championship, and Shinji Takei to take over this car. The one to watch in the second stint, though, is going to be 296 to see what Akihiro Suzuki can do, almost to repair the damage, dare one say, of his co-driver, the gun for hire, Kawabata, who did not do very well in his start stint.
No, really didn't, and it was all that start, and every lap since then's been okay, just not been able to do anything by it. And Sashihara has been in nice clear air as well, and the tyres, of course, will stay on the car in the pit stop race, probably, unless a few teams have saved tyres for the second stint, but most of them seem to stick with the same strategy, qualifying more important for that new tyre grip. Out of last curve comes the battle pack for fourth all the way
way down to 7th, with Watarai, then a bit of a gap to Kobayashi, to Kawabata and Yokomitsu. So no takers yet for the pits. The only one in the pits is the Lexus that Joe mentioned early on of Fukuzumi. Is back in with its engine maladies. Out of second curve goes Kawabata. Co-drivers then now getting ready, and for some, perversely, they're going to have to do the hard work here. The pros, in some cases, have not really delivered.
No, you can see the tension across all of them, can't you? Doing it in different ways. Some sat down, some pacing around the garage, trying to do anything to distract themselves by it. And these amateur drivers, it's never meant in a negative connotation, amateur, but that is what they are. They've got normal jobs. They're the funding for the car, but they're so fast in these modern GT3 cars. Anything under 2 seconds now off a pro driver that's getting paid to do this job is absolutely phenomenal for them. And how fitting that the championship is going to be decided by the amateur driver. The three of them really going head to head. Of course, we've got 4 cars, including this 45 car, of potential championship winners, but it's going to be a big but if they can stay in the championship hunt.
Cozzolino about to lap Nonaka as the Toyota steps aside, and past goes Cozzolino. Now you can see the difference in pace between a GT3 and a GT4 car as along that fast straight towards 130R comes Cozzolino for lap number 13. They'll work their way through this 10-minute window as the Ferrari heads once more towards the chicane. Kei Cozzolino treating this as, yes, another race within itself, but it's also good mileage, isn't it, for later on in the day. And 9 drivers doing double duty, doing both the Japan Cup and Suzuka 1,000 kilometres, a round of the Intercontinental GT Challenge. There, second Sasahara, and for third place, Takubamba nips up the inside of the Porsche cable that won GT4 yesterday. Kawabata emerges from the chicane, still chasing Kobayashi, and he's dropped back quite a lot, hasn't he, over that lap?
Yeah, really has lost a bit of pace there. I wonder what's happening to that car. Is it just tyres? Is it driver fatigue? Is a 555 looking down the inside, trying to unsettle the 296 of Kawabata there, as we see our GTC leader coming in, and they are changing tyres. They're not new tyres going on, but maybe a fresher set from the other qualifying session done yesterday. Wheel gun gets stuck there. It's always difficult for the mechanic. Those wheel guns have quite a strong magnet to help attract the wheel nut, and then sometimes it works against you while you're trying to repel it off the hub.
Tiger Wu, the driver you were looking at, as the cars swing their way out of the anti-banked curve once more. So Cozzolino, Sasahara, lap number 14, and there Kawabata, as I say, has dropped back by 1.5 seconds from Kobayashi, and they were together a couple of laps ago. So it's a really odd battle, this. Is that a deliberate ploy? Drop back, get some cool air, give the tyres a breather?
I don't think so. You'd want to be on the rear bumper as we see Tiger Wu pouncing back into action in the GTC. Looked like a relatively clean pit stop, no issues there for them.
So Tiger Wu, the first of the routine stops, and we'll see where that GT Cup car, so not a 911 GT3R, it's a 911 GT3 Cup that you see in the One Make Championships. We'll see how far back up the order Tiger can prowl before the end of the race. As they're going through is Cozzolino with his 4-second advantage going on to this lap. He's heading towards 130R now. Sasahara doing the chasing in second spot. Cozzolino probably another 3 laps maximum he can squeeze out. Maybe that's pushing it a bit.
Yeah, I think it's going to be 2 after this one that he's completing. The car has to cross pit entry line before the 25th minute elapses. So 24 minutes and 59 seconds remaining. That would be too late.
Yeah, you don't have to get the stop done, but you have to be in the pit lane before the window closes. There, Terence Say in the background getting out of the way, the Porsche getting out of the way as well, as the leader goes by 4.8 seconds clear now. Cozzolino to Sasahara, Bamba third, Watarai fourth, and he's gapped Kobayashi now. Fifth coming through is then yesterday's winner, sixth Kawabata, and seventh it is Yokomitsu, as down the pit lane has come Ruichi Oyagi in the orange Nissan. That's going to rejoin in a moment, so that's stop done as Kawabata goes through. So in real terms, that car is now 18.5 seconds away from the race lead, and he is leaving his co-driver with a lot of work to do. Akihiro Suzuki is going to have to work very hard as Shinji Takei awaits the second-placed Ferrari for him to leap on board.
Yeah, and Takei, I think, is going to be an easy race leader after the pit stop if everything goes to plan with the 10-second penalty for that 45 Ferrari. The gap between those two cars last time around under 5 seconds, so that car should be leading by 5 seconds after the pit stop, and that would be the championship if it were to stay like that to the end, which I would suggest is not going to happen.
And then, of course, there are also, to factor into all of this, any errors that are made in the pit stops. People, of course, in the past have been slightly under and gained a penalty. You want to be a little bit over rather than, you know, risk being a 10th under. This is not the time to be brave.
Yeah, talking of under, it looks like Tiger Wu maybe crossed the stripe at the end of pit lane too early. He is under the minimum pit stop time, so that car may be going to get a drive-through penalty, the 888 GTC Porsche.
Yeah, because that was a car that had to serve an extra 15 seconds on top of the regulation time, and they've just been fractionally short. As into the chicane comes the race-leading Kei Cozzolino then, so the Ferrari wriggles its way through the right, the left, the right, and another lap to be done. He will cross the beam with just over 27.5 minutes to go. Sasahara comes by in second place. Cozzolino did the fastest lap of the race at 2 minutes 1. Yesterday's fastest lap was a 2 minutes 4, but that was hardly a fair comparison because it was a wet and drying track yesterday. Today, bone dry. A lot of heavy rain we've had in the area over the last few days. Into the pit lane comes Kawabata then. So he blinks first out of 6th place. Kawabata down the pit road and ready to take over. The car that was 3rd yesterday is Akihiro Suzuki, and he's going to have to drive the stint of his life now. Yeah,
I'm surprised at Kawabata's box. They were safe by 20 seconds to do another lap, and I just think the gap between the amateur and the pro here, that's just another 2 to 3 seconds lost, and it feels like they're all going defensive now. It's a downward spiral potentially for the 296, and where they're going to end up in the championship is going to be a hard one to call. And let's not discount Banksy as well in the Porsche. He was very quick yesterday.
Was indeed. The only other option, I suppose, for this is it's a roll of the dice, get out of the traffic, try and do something different, because they're not doing it on pure pace. However, I agree with you, you put an AM against a pro, there's obviously going to be a greater disparity, even if it's only for one lap.
I'm surprised at the change of tyre as well, because again, it's not a new tyre being put on, and there's no tyre ovens in this championship, so you're asking the AM to get out and warm that tyre up on their out lap. I would rather personally keep the used tyre on, even if it's done 50, 60 kilometres an hour, kilometres more, sorry. It would be a couple of tenths time loss, but on an out lap with cold tyres, I think you're looking at losing 5 or 6 seconds. I don't see the gain. Let's keep an eye on what the others do in that regard.
All right, well, Cozzolino is going to be the next one of interest then. We anticipate the car to be in this time. He can't squeeze another lap out of the window. So there, ready to go is Suzuki in 296 then. And Kei Cozzolino here comes up towards the chicane, the other side of which is the pit lane. So the leading Ferrari at the end of lap number 16, Tiger Wu, is indeed under investigation for being under on the pit stop time as the leader comes in, and you can expect the whole wave to come in as well. There's Sasahara peeling into the pit lane, so the top two come in. You're riding on board with Sasahara. Also for the pit lane is Bamba. Terence Say comes in a lap down in the Supra as the pit stops for the leading cars are underway.
Yeah, drivers can loosen the belt but not undo the belts, and I hope that wasn't a full belt undoing for Sasahara there. And you can see the drivers prepping, getting ready in their driver change element. There's a lot to do as a driver. You've got the belts, you've got the radio, you've got the drinks, you've got the window net, you've got the driver cooling pipes. So it isn't as simple as turning your car off and filling it up at fuel at your local gas station. There's a lot to do. Sasahara jumping out, seat insert lobbed out the way. Sasahara now in back seat running round, tyres being done on the Porsche, just trying to see if this 9 is doing Porsche. I can hear wheel guns. I don't know if it's the Bingo Racing team or not yet.
So Takei into number 9, and the pit window is now closed, so everybody has just got in time, I think.
Everyone is doing tyres, aren't they?
Yeah. Last car arriving is yesterday's GT4 winning Porsche that is going to be now for Suhiro to give way into Makino. Right, door closes then. So now, ready to go in number 9 is Shinji Takei. New tyres going on Banksy's Porsche. Mechanic leans in to make sure that all is well. Co-driver walks away from the car. Good stint done, certainly a good start done by Taichi Watarai. Now that is the car that pitted a lap out of sequence. As down the pit lane comes 45 back into the race then. Yorikatsu Suzuka and is just going to hang on, but Takei drops back behind Bamba. They've lost a place in all of this and keeping the race lead, and a problem for Takei slow down the pit lane. Now how has that happened? Because that car didn't have any extra time to serve. Cozzolino had an extra 10 seconds and they've stayed ahead. And a long, long way back in all of this as well now is 296, because it's fallen. There it is. It's virtually fallen to the back of the line.
That's the outlap of an amateur on cold tyres versus an in-lap of a pro on hot tyres. And, of course, he's got the advantage now. His tyres are 1 lap hotter. I'm not sure the 45 swap tyres. We'll keep an eye on that one. But terrible, terrible pit stop from Bingo Racing. They were 10 seconds over. Yes, it was a messy exit. That's the championship gone, in my opinion, now for the 9 car. We haven't seen the pace for the 9 car in the hands of Takei, whereas I think this 45 car now potentially on warm tyres. Yes, they're worn, but warm. I think I'd rather be in that position. But the championship, very, very difficult still for this 45.
So that car is potentially on for a race win, and everybody else now scrapping over the points and places behind. We'll update at the end of this next lap then once the order is confirmed. But a very, very impressive stop, even allowing for the 10 extra seconds that had to be served then for Yorikatsu Tsujiko. So Ponos Racing looking as though they might well end the season with a second victory. First pole, of course, for Cozzolino. The birthday present for Kawabata in the meantime. 296 is getting further away from him because that car pitting a lap out of sequence. The one that's gained, of course, up into second place now, number 18. Sorry, not number 18, I should say, number 181, the Norwich Racing car, Takubamba, giving it over now
8-2-8-8. 1 second stop-go penalty, short pit stop.
That's Peter Daly's voice you've heard in the background saying 888 has a 1 second stop go for being short on the pit stop. Takubamba, as I was saying, gives that car over now to Norikaru Shikita. So that's one that did well off the start and has won again coming out of the pits. Right, you're on board now, heading down towards the line. This is the Porsche, this is Banksy.
This is my favourite for the championship now. Banksy looking racy, has had a clean pit stop. My only worry is on the dash, it's blurred out, I can't see, but there's a big red banner, which is never a good thing. Banksy looking to the inside, backs out of it, but is looking very fast. So I think this is a move that's going to happen in the next couple of laps, but it needs to be clean between our two, for the 2 championship leaders, potentially here, and the 296 also in the high. But look at the pace of the 9. Banksy going to send it around the outside. It's not a move we see done often, and you can see why it's narrow. There was the slightest bit of contact. Banksy now just needs to steady the ship here. He doesn't want to get carried away and potentially wipe it out when he doesn't need to.
Right now, Takei and Sasahara are tied on points with Suzuki and Kawabata, but Sasahara and Takei have had 2 wins, and it's only 1 win to the 296 Ferrari. So on the tie-break, this car would be ahead. However, Takei cannot afford to lose any places, and if Banksy clears him, then that's going to bring him into the mix as well, because he's only 1 point back in the championship hunt now. So it could not be tighter, could it, with 20 minutes to go. And you've still got your 3-way fight. This is it, 112, 112, 111. Third in the championship, third in the race. Banksy on a mission, and that Porsche looking very, very quick indeed.
Yeah, and that's why he doesn't need to rush this move whatsoever. He makes this overtake, he wins the championship. Simple as that. 20 minutes remaining. The team will be on the radio saying, we've got 9 laps. Just chill, Banksy. We've got this. Just don't get any contact. Don't get a penalty. Even if you get the move done, this is where the jeopardy is really going to come into play for the 666.
So up towards 130R he comes, very nervous faces at Bingo Racing, looking at the in jeopardy second place Ferrari, and it's becoming when not if. Banksy gets through, but he goes to the outside line and he locks up and he's going to lose time. Scrabbles into the corner, runs off the racetrack. He didn't need to really try there, did he? He's got time on his side, and that was an error. He's lost 3-4 lengths coming now out of last curve over the line. That takes some of the pressure off Takei.
I would argue as a driver, it's worth the look. The car's lockup's not working for him underneath it. It shouldn't lock up. We saw it for his teammate Watara on the opening lap, lock up there. The car shouldn't be locking up. That was a much bigger lockup. He'll get away with that one, but if that happens again, the flat spot on that tyre is going to be performance limiting. I think it's worth the move because he gets alongside as they hit the brakes, and then the car locks up. If it wasn't for the locking up, they would have been side by side through that chicane, and then it possibly would have run in his favour as the car swings to the left. But that is a concern. Maybe that's the alarm on the dash. We can't see it. It's blurred to us, but he will see that. Is that a wheel speed sensor failure there potentially? And that car is having to run without ABS. I am speculating massively, but that is potentially another part of the puzzle for this championship.
Very quickly, though, Banksy back onto the tail, is he not, of Shinji Takei? This is the fight for third on the road, but also for the championship win. Up front, Yorikatsu Sujiko is leading by 4 seconds. Down to the hairpin they come. Norikatsu Shibata then in second place in 181. Where in all of this is number 296. Down in sixth place and very wide in the background was going Yusaka Maizawa off the road. So the white and red Ferrari losing time. He's fallen out of the picture, look, as once more Banksy makes the challenge as they head from 200R up towards Spoon Curve. He was close here a lap ago, made that move at the chicane, didn't work. He's fought back over the course of the lap. Very wide goes the Ferrari. Under pressure, look, is Takei, and that brings Banksy ever closer. He's looking a little bit more stable right now. He knows he's got the quicker car, but if he has got a concern over whether that Porsche is absolutely 100% healthy, we'll find out in a moment at the chicane, and whether he's going to chance his arm there or think, no, it's too risky, I'll make a move somewhere else. Out of 130R, he's brought back the time very, very quickly to the chicane again, and this time Takei doesn't really give him an opportunity to go to the outside line, but he goes slightly deeper into the chicane. Nose to tail midpoint. Banksy tries to squirt up the inside, can't do it. Nose to tail as they come off the corner. Ferrari just ahead of Porsche. Championship on the line here.
We're close, aren't we? But we're not really able to mount a proper charge. At the moment, the best overtaking opportunity is that final chicane. But we've had a couple of looks there, and it's difficult to stay close enough through the previous corner at 130R. We got alongside out of turn 3 coming up a few laps ago now, and that's where we're very strong. But you just don't brake for turns 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's very hard to get a move done. Is it going to be a speculative look, maybe into turn 11, the slowest corner of the lap? That would be my second choice for the overtake here. We just need to stay as close as we can to the back of the 9 Ferrari.
And also try and pressure another mistake out of him as they come through. So number 9, we understand, didn't put tyres on. We'll double check. You can see nervous faces in the pit box as you're back on board with the treble 6 Porsche out of the second dead in the curve. Down they come to the hairpin. You can see the nervous face of Taichi Watarai through the hairpin. Up the inside, tries to go the Porsche, but Shinji Takei in the Ferrari gets to drive off. He's got the line for the next corner of 200R. They climb the hill, nose to tail then as they come through. And the Porsche still stuck absolutely on the back now as they make that climb up towards Spoon Curve. Here, a lap ago, Takei went wide. Banksy closing all the time. The Ferrari is neater this time. There seems to be more confidence, though, in the way the Porsche is being driven. It's a rather nervous Takei. This might be because of the way he's having to adapt from left foot to right foot braking, but you'd have thought by now he would have been on top of that. He's done a lot of laps over the course of the weekend. So we don't think number 9 took tyres, and therefore on fresher rubber to the inside line looks Banksy as they come up towards 130R now, through the corner, down towards the chicane. Again to the outside line goes the Porsche, hard on the brakes. Banksy tries to go all the way around the outside, can't quite do it, and the Ferrari just about stays ahead, but he's on borrowed time because now Banksy quicker, coming off the corner. Nose to tail, out of last curve. In a straight line, though, the Ferrari just able to edge away slightly.
Yeah, and that 9 car didn't do tyres. There was a pressure adjustment, so it was up in the air, and the mechanics working on the car were just simply bleeding the pressures down. So maybe this is the tyre advantage now for Banksy. You can see his headlights spraying over the back of the 9 car. They'll be flashing the headlights. He knows this is for the championship, but now it's been 3, 4 laps stuck behind. He'll be starting to think, maybe I can't do it, and it will now be flowing in the back of the 9 car. Maybe I can hold on to this and claim the championship.
Back to the inside goes Banksy. There was half an opportunity. He wasn't quite able to get up the inside there, but now he's got track position on the inside line. The road comes to him. Takei's got to try and brave it out because he'll have the inside line for the first of the Degner Kurz Championship on the line in Japan Cup. Ferrari back ahead. Good recovery there by Takei. Wasn't phased by the pesky Porsche. Having a look to the inside, and it's still Takei ahead, but can he hang on to this for 14 minutes? It's going to be a massive ask, because again, Banksy lines up for the inside. He's on the grass, there's contact, and around goes the Ferrari. Banksy's going to survive, but the championship could be decided by that one bit of contact. Into a spin has been punted the Ferrari, and around has gone Shinji Takei. And not only that, but he's not moving. A penalty is bound to come, surely.
296 is going to win this. Suzuki now has done nothing to win it himself, but force majeure. I was literally about to say one of these cars is not going to finish the race. They were almost being too nice to each other through turns 7 and 8 previous to the contact there. I still maintain this car doesn't have ABS. We saw it lock up there. I said the hairpin was an overtaking opportunity, but not with the 9 car directly in front. That's going to be a penalty for the Porsche, and now the 9 is out of it. I think this is championship for the 296.
It doesn't look like there's much damage to the car of Takei, but it just won't restart. So
it's rolling
it's going now. It has got damage at the back, not massive damage.
Rear left suspension.
Oh yeah, no, it is going much slower than it should. So it was a big whack, wasn't it? There is a crestfallen Ukio Sasahara who can now see the damage. So actually, yeah, it was a bigger hit than I first thought.
Yeah, and desperation from Banksy, that's what it reeked of. There's no way that's not a penalty, and now that car with damage, there's no way anything but the 296 can win the championship, unless let's watch this. We're on the inside, we lock up, and there wasn't space. We had an ABS issue, which I think the drivers are aware of, and there's just no excuse. You can see here from the 9 car, we were going to defend the inside, block the inside to stop this team being able to get down the inside. The only curveball I will offer you, David, is that if the 296 had an issue, who would win the championship? 45, because I think the Banksy car will get a penalty, so it won't score points. This car is not going to score points, and if the 296 didn't score, the 45 now, in my opinion, is second favourite to win the championship.
Yeah, I suppose it depends exactly how far treble 6 is going to fall, if and when a penalty comes, and what sort of penalty it's going to be. But there you can see a crippled Ferrari, and that's a really cruel way to end a championship. They've done so well all season, they've won more races than anybody, and it wasn't their fault.
No, but you make your own luck. They shouldn't have been that close to the Porsche. It was a poor pit stop. They didn't do tyres. Was that a mistake? They didn't have the pace, the foot injury. There's a lot of what ifs. I agree with you. They seem like the fairest of our champions. Motorsport doesn't care about fairness. It all depends on who's got the most points. Who's got the most points? This car, 296.
After the most bizarre race for it, having never really looked that flash, down from the hairpin to 200R it will climb, and the championship pendulum swings now back in favour of the number 296 Akihiro Suzuki driven Ferrari, and the treble 6 number 9 incident is under investigation. Well, that's no surprise, is it? There is 296. It did vault ahead of 18 on the pit stops. Through it will come towards the end of the lap.
The only thing he needs to be careful of is that Akita behind him is fast. Not for the championship. He can
82. Outside your garage, pitting outside the window. Car 82, stop, go, outside the pit window.
So that is the GT4 Porsche in second place. So that almost guarantees the win to the Toyota, which would have won every race bar one yesterday. But yeah, the only thing we need to be careful of here for the 296 is the 9 pits, and that will retire. There's nothing they'll be able to do about that in the remaining time, and that is a sorry state to end the championship. Yeah, the 296, just to be careful of the yellow car. Here we see it again. The front right is locked up. That shouldn't be happening. That loses braking efficiency. That stops ability to turn. You can see he had 180 degrees of steering lock, but the car was still going dead ahead because the front right is locked. The 9 car defends the inside
car
cleanly.
666, stop go penalty for causing a collision. Car 666, stop go penalty.
And the timing of the replay and Peter Daly's voice echoes my sentiment. A stop-go penalty here is going to lose them 34 seconds or so, so that's going to drop them, I think, back to 10th place.
Yeah, the That car was never alongside. It was an opportunistic look and a lunge to the inside, and a stop-go penalty beckons out of the race. The car that looked to be on for the championship, number 9, Shinji Takei and Ukyo Sasahara. Massive disappointment for the Bingo Sports team. Bingo Sports came here looking for a full house, and now 296 may have a drama.
Oh, sorry, GT4 car.
Heading up the hill. Let's see. There he goes. Looks all right. Up towards Spoon Curve and then on towards 130R. Treble 6 stop-go penalty is confirmed. We're not being told it's a stop-go for a given amount of time, just a stop and a go. But Banksy has been quick all season. In a sense, it's a shame that his championship assault ends that way, but he was the guilty party. Whichever way you look at it, he was never fully alongside. I mean, it was front to rear contact.
Yeah, if he had ABS, I don't think there would have been contact. That's my only defence I can give him. Was the move on? No, because there wasn't a car width on the inside.
Exactly.
But he would have stopped in a more efficient manner where there wouldn't have been contact, in my opinion. I don't care if you disagree, David. We can both be wrong. I apologise as well for shouting problem for 296. The GT4 Porsche was just so out of shot on the exit of Spoon Corner. I couldn't work out why he was keeping it tight. No problem at the moment for our potential champions-elect.
And they will be champions by, in the end, quite a margin, oddly, given how fortunes have changed in this race. Now, is there anybody else we think we might have as champions? Because it has ebbed and flowed. But right now, the 4th place car, Akihiro Suzuki, looking as though he and Shintaro Kawabata are going to be back on top. Treble 6 then has been issued with that stop-go penalty. Banksy has not served it. He'd fallen to 7th place. That's the pit stop of number 9. It was a bit scrappy. He dropped back from what we thought was going to be the lead to 3rd place. That really is where they started to unravel.
Yes, the fast lane was busy, they couldn't release, but they should have released 8 seconds before that happened.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't have been a problem, as we see Banksy on board here. Where we're overtaking there, we're on the inside into the hairpin where his championship finally got a nail put in the coffin, while he was also burying the coffin of the 9 car.
So Banksy trying to do what he can. He's 7th on the road, but this car, I'm afraid to say, becomes rather academic as soon as the stop-go is served. He's going to have to do it this time, I would have thought. They're going through is then Akihiro Suzuki in 4th place in number 296, making that climb again. So 296 accelerates over the brow on towards 130R. In the background, number 24, which is Yudai Uchida, who qualified on pole position for yesterday's race, the session done by the AM drivers. And up towards the chicane then now comes 296. Now, if 18 of Akita wriggles past, let's see what that will do to the points. But right now, Suzuki has just got to hang on to the place as Taichi Watarai. He was never in the running for the championship, but some of his good work slightly undone by Banksy's zealotry at the hairpin.
Yeah, he'll be frustrated as Banksy boxes for his stop-and-go penalty. So cruising down at 50 kilometres an hour. The frustration will probably be finally setting in. When you're out on track, the adrenaline clouds your judgment and your basis of what went wrong. But I'm sure he either doesn't know it's his fault right now. When he watches it back later, he will admit liability on that.
It's rather hard to imagine how you could say that Takei did much wrong, but anyway, the net result is that the car stops and eventually will go, but Banksy losing more time as he sits in the pit serving the penalty, gets away now. All he can do is just bring the car home and see what result falls in his lap.
Yeah, I think frustratingly he went into neutral and then wouldn't go back into gear. That's why you could hear the engine revving and not going. He needs to make sure he didn't cross the white line, which he does perfectly in his defence. But yeah, he's going to drop down the order.
Now, there is 181 in 2nd place, and in 3rd was Maizawa, but he is out of shot. Now, has Maizawa cleared 181 Ferrari, or has he fallen off the racetrack? So, Yusuke Maizawa has disappeared from shot. Let's see where he is on our track map.
He's stopped at turn 8.
He has, yeah, he's off the racetrack, seemingly. So
right.
Now that gives even more of an advantage to 296, and they've just gained another place.
Yeah, makes it easier, but look how close Kita is to the back. Race winners yesterday, of course, in that yellow Ferrari, and he doesn't care about the championship, so he doesn't care about the 296 of Suzuki. He'll want the podium. That will be his main focus here, and we now see the 296 getting to the inside of Shibata. Shibata defending. This is the last thing the 296 needs right now. He just wants to drive home for the next 5 minutes. So close to contact between the two cars as well there. This is not done, and the 296 almost just needs to put an indicator on, let the Ferrari and the Mercedes go, and just cruise around in fifth, and that would still give them the championship.
Maizawa is on the move again, so he had an off at the second Degner curve. Uchida has a lunge to the inside of Akita. So yesterday's pole-winning Mercedes against the race-winning Ferrari of yesterday. If they get themselves together and squabble, that would take some of the pressure off Akihiro Suzuki, champion-elect then in third place as the race-leading car of Yorikatsu Sujiko continues on its merry way. Lap 26, only 4 more minutes to go. It's been a dramatic race, has it not, with so much going on. And after a great stint by Kei Cozzolino and a really good pit stop and bad pit stops by others, that car is clear. And Tiger Wu has got a problem, seemingly. Pulls to one side in the Cup car, lets the quicker Ferrari go. I think maybe that was just being very gentlemanly rather than a problem, but good use of the mirrors. It does show you the different pace between a Cup spec car and a GT3 spec car. Tiger Wu carries on up the hill.
More adamant with my last statement that the 296 car here in shot should just get out of this battle. They finished fifth, they still win the championship by 10 points as the 181 goes in really deep, and this is why I don't want to be involved. If I'm the 296, the slightest of contacts, we don't need to be here. The podium is beckoning, of course, in this race, but think of the championship.
So right now, third on the road, Akihiro Suzuki, champion-elect, cannot afford damage. There are lots of other teams hoping he gets stuck in and does get some damage. Akita sitting on his tail. Uchida in the Mercedes AMG in a big battle as well. This battle pack is second, third, fourth and fifth. We've got 3 minutes to go. A lap is over 2 minutes, so here they come, up towards 130R, the other end of this straight. A really good drive this by Norikatsu Shibata in second place. He's another one we're going to see in the Suzuki 1000 kilometres later on. He's under attack then, and being attacked as well to the chicane is Suzuki. Akita looks to the inside line, up the curb, clambers Suzuki, round the outside goes Uchida, great move, skips across the curb, and that was brilliant opportunistic racing by Yudai Uchida, and that really put Akita on the back foot, so the yellow Ferrari tumbles down a place and loses a chunk of time. Pressure released from Suzuki, and now he can concentrate on Shibata. To the inside line he looks at the end of the straight, but no chance there.
Oh, this is getting so tense, and to the inside again. It's going to give him a bit of breathing space, isn't it, in the 296 car? But Uchida now really on the front foot. He attacked Akita really well, and it's a great clean move. Good driving by Akita as well in the yellow Ferrari. You can see him on the inside, but Akita maybe looking down the inside of the Mercedes, who had a slow run out of turn 2. But yeah, Suzuki here still going to win the championship. We've got 2 laps remaining where the leader is on track right now, coming through turn 11. This has been an easy race, easy stint for both drivers. They're going to finish second in the championship at the moment, but this car of the 296 still needs to finish, and that is a big if, in my opinion.
Yeah, we're not done yet, are we? Especially given the way that Yudai Uchida is going in that Mercedes AMG. Uchida a very quick am as they come to the hairpin. Good stint, though, by Norikatsu Shibata, hanging on to that second place. Good first stint by Bamba to bring the car into the equation, I'll grant you, but Shibata has driven very well to keep the car in the mix as they turn through once more then. So we're going to be able to have one more lap at the end of this. There is now less than a lap time left in the race. Yorikatsu Sujiko leading the way then. This is for second. You can see Shibata ahead of Suzuki, ahead of Uchida. Mercedes in fourth, and then you'll get a glimpse of the yellow Ferrari fifth of Akita. That's the leader then, about to start the last lap of the race, the last lap of the season as well for the Ponos Racing entry out of the last curve, heading up towards the line. You've got just ahead there the Alcalad Mercedes AMG, Masayoshi Oyama's car there. The battle continues for second, third and fourth, and Uchida pulls his demon move on the inside, gets past one, gets past two, clatters both out of the way, and all of a sudden the 296 is ahead of the Mercedes, spins, the Ferrari somehow survives all of that. That secures the championship. A big slide there also coming towards us from Shibata. Right, so Suzuki up into second place somehow. Akita is up into third. Shibata is down to fourth. Uchida is the one that's had the spin, and that could have been a whole lot worse. You can look now, it's fine.
I thought that was nailed on, that Uchida and the orange Mercedes was going in the door, the 296 at the apex of the left hand. It was a great move by the Mercedes originally. The contact there with Shibata forces it in deep. It was at this moment I thought the 296 was going to get nailed and championship gone. Great driving by both in the end. I wonder if Suzuki saw that Mercedes missile in the door, but slow Nissan there. Hopefully they are okay, because that car is in the Suzuka 1000 as well. Here is our race leader, going to finish second in the championship.
Car 24 has a 5-second time penalty. Car 24, 5-second penalty.
For an incident with number 18 at turn 16. However, let's get the leader through, because they have driven so well. The Ponos Racing team, the Battle Cats, are going to come through for a second victory of the season. They overcame a 10-second penalty in the pits that was partly down to others being poor in the pits as much as their race being a good one. But for second place and the championship, it is going to be then 296 Ferrari Akihiro Suzuki and his co-driver Shintaro Kawabata. They now accelerate down towards 130R, but ahead of them is 45. It's not really been in the hunt for the championship today, but it is going to gain places in the championship after a race win and also dramas for others. The Ponos Racing Ferrari then comes out of the chicane, through last curve, checkered flag awaits, win number 2 of the year to round out the Japan Cup for Keiko Zolino, Yorikatsu Tsujiko, winners in the final race. A delighted Keiko Zolino cheers home his co-driver and team owner indeed, Yorikatsu Tsujiko. But Japan Cup champions for 2025, second in the race, champions at the end of the season after a tough day at the office. Akihiro Suzuki, Shintaro Kawabata on his birthday. What a way to round out the season. A delighted team cheers them home. The Hitotsuma with Corners Racing mechanics cheering the Ferrari across the line. Third is Akita, fourth Norikatsu Shibata, fifth over the line the spinning Uchida, but then he applied the 5 seconds to him. And that 5-second penalty came for an earlier incident. It's still being investigated for the drama we saw down at the chicane, so Uchida might have even more problems here.
Yeah, as we follow our GT4 race winner, championship winner, that one blot on their copybook, like you said yesterday, David, this would have been 8 wins out of 8 bar that one yesterday. Still phenomenal, and always a personal favourite, the GT4 category, and multi-class racing always adds a level of spectacle. And there is our AM winner in GT4 as well. Lovely shot for the GT4, and it's important we keep supporting GT4. It's a very important rung on the ladder of GT racing, and try and get in your loft without a ladder. That's what would happen in GT racing if you didn't have that GT4 category.
So after all of the drama, Banksy across the line in 8th. But, as I say, 24 is still being investigated. There was one incident with Akita I don't think we saw, but there's another one from the chicane that we did see, and that's still being looked at by the race officials. But our GT3 champions, there they are in the number 296 Ferrari after that great effort. Akihiro Suzuki and Shintaro Kawabata come through. Third yesterday, second today, but it's P1 in the championship. And there is the car that has won already in GT4 the championship, and now a 7th win of the season. The GT4 AM champions just being reflected there, not racing this weekend. Championship done. Betty Chen and her co-driver not here, but they are the GT4 AM champions. There are the Pro AM champions, Saito Nonaka and Haridama Manopo. So, Banksy ends the race 8th across the line, and wouldn't you like to be a fly on the wall when he and Shinji Takei have a conversation post-race?
Looking surprisingly cheery, waving to all the marshals, which you always should as a driver. It doesn't matter if you've had a bad race, the marshals always doing a very good service around the globe for motorsports, and it's a very important element to at least acknowledge and thank them. But I'm surprised he looks as happy as he does, because at one point the championship was his. He had to make one overtake, he had the pace, and seemingly it all unravelled from there.
That's Cake Ferrari. Excellent job done by him, and you kind of expect that. I know I bang on about Cozzolino, but he really is very, very good indeed. And Yorikatsu Suzuki about to clamber out of the car. Door closes, photographs taken, and as far as the championship is concerned, they are second. So they've worked their way up from fourth to second over the course. Second victory of the season. Good job done.
One at Sugu and one at Fuji, back-to-back retirements, really made the championship a very long shot for them.
The rest of the cars then, AM and GT4 AM, make their way into the pit lane, to the scrutineering area. There is one half of our new championship winning team then, Akihiro Suzuki, getting out of 296, Shintaro Kawabata, who's already with him. Happy birthday, Shintaro Kawabata. Perfect present. It was a bit touch and go for most of the race, but wow, it fell into their lap, didn't it? They didn't so much win it as others lost it.
Yeah, I thought he'd blown it, and now luckily for him, the only thing he's going to blow are his birthday candles. What a way to celebrate.
Absolutely right. There is very, very happy Akihiro Suzuki being celebrated by the team. Differing celebrations all the way through this area of champions, of race winners, and it's tempting to forget the race winners in the championship celebration, but there is Kei Cozzolino, and still getting his breath back, Yorikatsu Suzuki, the man behind Ponos Racing, which, as you've all worked out, is an anagram of spoon anyway. Kei Cozzolino smiling his head off, and they're going to be on track later in the day in the Suzuka 1000. In a Ferrari, not that car, but an identical separate chassis. But there are the champions. They've got the board prepared just in case, and now they feel okay to use it. Amy is there ready to have a word with them in a moment. But a top job done by our Japan Cup crew. It's been a really good season of racing, and what a way to round out the championship season. Yesterday's race was fantastic because of the changing conditions, and today's has been fantastic because of the championship situation and all the drama that always goes with finals day for a championship. So there you've got the race-winning Ferrari and some very happy teams. So let's hear first, I reckon, from the champions. Akihiro Suzuki, Shintaro Kawabata are with Amy Izawa.
ジャパンカップ2025シリーズチャンピオンです。おめでとうございます。鈴木選手も大どんでん返しのチャンピオンとなりました。最後もハラハラドキドキ手汗握るレースでしたね。
追う展開だったんで、自分自身がいかにミスしないことを、心がけてたんですけど、いい位置にいるということを思ってたんで、最後まで、チームの力と、とかをですね思い出してより頑張りました。どうもありがとうございます。
おめでとうございます。チャンピオンです。川立選手、もうハッピーバースデーなチャンピオンとなりました。おめでとうございます。ご自身のステイトでちょっと苦しかったと思うんですけれども、チャンピオンのお気持ちをお聞かせください。
はい、ちょっと僕スタートで落ちちゃったんですけど、ぶつからないことを最優先した結果なんで、ちょっと悔しいスティントではありましたが、チームと鈴木さんを信じて最後まで走り切りました。結果的にみんなのおかげでチャンピオン取れたんで、皆さん本当にありがとうございました。
今日はたっぷりお祝いしちゃってください。改めましておめでとうございました。So first of all, Suzuki is very happy for the team that they got this car ready, and he was very surprised that they are actually P2, but also this championship means very much to them. So he's very happy about it. Kawabata also, he had a quite difficult stint for himself, but he did not see this position coming, and also he did not dream of becoming champion today. So he's very, very happy about it. Back to you.
Thanks, Amy. Top stuff then to hear from our champions, Akihiro Suzuki and Shintaro Kawabata. They made it hard for themselves, and they owe a few other teams a vote of thanks, really, because it was their dramas, their incidents that allowed the pendulum to swing back their way. But a championship is theirs. The Inter-Nissan Ferrari fight goes in their direction. Tadao Uematsu and Hirokatsu Suzuki yesterday were the winners of GT3 AM, and Pro-Am therefore won as well as the outright GT3 title by Suzuki and Kawabata. These are your class winners in the race then. Team Makina in GT3 AM, Ponos Racing for Pro-Am, Silver Am in GT4 to Toyota Gazoo Racing Indonesia, Destino with Sunrise Boulevard GT4 AM, and Tiger Wu, the only GT Cup entrant yet again, taking a class victory there in one of the more creatively liveried cars. So the race result, provisionally, is Suzuka and Cozzolino the winners from Suzuki and Kawabata. Akita and Kobayashi third from Shibata and Bamba. After that little drama at the chicane, they fell to fourth. Suzuki and Uematsu fifth in the Team Macchina Ferrari, the winning AMS, and sixth after the spin and the penalty, Uchida and Motojima. Finishing today, unlike yesterday, for seventh, Ryuichi Oyagi, ahead of Banksy and Taichi Watarai, eighth after that stop-go. Maizawa and Yokomitsu ninth after Maizawa went off the road, and Oyama Urueda's Mercedes-AMG rounding out the top 10. It's great to see lots of fans here as well. Motorsports very, very popular in Japan, and the return of the Suzuka 1000 kilometers has brought many a fan to the track over the last couple of days. In the final standings in GT3, our champions Akihiro Suzuki and Shintaro Kawabata from Yorikatsu Suzuka and Kei Cozzolino. Banksy ends up third, 1 point back. Shinji Takei and Ukio Sasahara, more wins than anybody, but fourth, not finishing today. Cruel luck ahead of Akita and Takashi Kobayashi, yesterday's winners. Taichi Watarai, after his part season, is sixth ahead of Uchida and Motojima in seventh, with eighth the GT3 AM champions Tadei Uematsu and Hirakatsu Suzuki. Dramatic season, dramatic final hour of the championship, but you've got a feel for Takei and Sasahara.
I really do. It was on for them, wasn't it? And the lack of pace maybe was their undoing and why the contact occurred, but they were the innocent party in that incident.
So they have the circuit falling silent at the end of a very dramatic final round of Japan Cup. A great weekend of racing, a great season of racing, and there'll be more to come in 2026. Are making their way up to the podium. Podiums for the GT3 classes and GT4. Let's look back at the final race of Japan Cup for 2025, and it began with Kei Cozzolino from pole position making a very good start. So too did Taichi Watarai in the yellow Porsche to the inside, and Taku Bamba taking third. Ukio Sasahara tried to brave it out on the outside of the second place and fell back. Then it was Watarai in treble six that has certainly gained places, finding all the gaps ahead of him, edging his way across the road to the inside line. And that brought the Porsche into the equation for a good race result, and also in the championship fight. But Cozzolino was absolutely storming away, setting the fastest lap of the race. Sasahara having to settle for second, but confident that he'd buy back time on the pit stops. 296 of Shintaro Kawabata, though, was a bit stuck down in sixth place, and the championship looked to have ebbed away from the number 296 Ferrari, especially when they elected to pit a lap early and put the AM driver, Akihiko Suzuki, in a lap against the pros. They also put the car onto new tyres, so it was quite a big ask for Suzuki to get them up to temperature and also do a good pace. But in the end, it was a poor pit stop from number 9, the Bingo Sport, with LM Corsa entry. So that meant that Takei dropped back and then was punted by Banksy at the hairpin, and the championship was over. It didn't look like it was that hard a knock, but it was, and it damaged the rear suspension. Ukio Sasahara could not believe what he was seeing. The 7x7 Porsche team ended up with a stop-go penalty, and then it all got a bit leery up at the chicane as Yuda Uchida clattered up the inside. That allowed 296 to wriggle through, contact avoided, and in avoidance, a spin for Uchida swung him around. So, to the championship went Suzuki and Kawabata. To the race win came Sujiko and Cozzolino at the end of a dramatic hour to round out a really exciting Japan Cup season. A race win, the second of the year for a very happy Kei Cozzolino and his co-driver Yorikatsu Sujiko, but a championship for Akihiro Suzuki and Shintaro Kawabata. They came into the weekend second, and they have rounded out the season with championship success. But delight for race winners at Ponos Racing. Cozzolino and Sujiko take the title.
On second
Cozzolino and Suzuka take the race win, I should say, as the champions Suzuki and Kawabata are making their way very shortly up to the podium. So they're already on the podium. Akita and his co-driver Takeshi Kobayashi, winners of yesterday's race. Second place are there. Now the new champions, Akihiro Suzuki and Shintaro Kawabata, and the race winners, Kei Cozzolino and Yorikatsu Sujiko, make their way to the top step. Through all the drama, they were the one constant at the front, no mistakes, and a second race win of the year. Stefan Rattel, the founder and CEO of the SRO Motorsports Group, steps forward to hand over the trophies, and he'll be a very proud man to see the way that Japan Cup has gone from points to a handful of Japanese teams in GT World Challenge Asia to standalone races and really exciting racing to boot.
Yeah, really, really good. I've loved following this race this weekend, and the championship has gone down to the wire like all good championship should, and we've got the top cut on the top set of the stadium again today.
So there, everyone huddles together for the photographs. The racing queens join them on the podium as well, always a feature of Asian motorsport. Ponos Racing then taking a race win and ultimately up to second in the championship as well. You can see there the third place crew of Akita, another pseudonym driver, and Takeshi Kobayashi, yesterday's winners, and they are very keen to get on with the champagne, are they not? So you've got champions, race winners over the weekend all, and the celebrations are underway for our first GT3 podium.
All winners, aren't they? Third place won yesterday, the winners won today, and championship winners in second.
And the champions get a proper soaking. Ponos Racing left wondering what might have been after, as you were saying, a retirement, and then an issue where the car tried to start late from the pit lane, wasn't allowed so to do, and losing, therefore, 2 opportunities to score points. It was always going to be hard work. But Cozzolino, yet again, has proved just how good he is, but the speed that he's carrying, always impressive. But there are your champions, and on his birthday, Shintaro Kawabata, joined by Akihiro Suzuki, and they come out on top as from the podium they go. So this is how we look in GT3 Pro-Am. There's an overall as well as a Pro-Am and an Am, and it is still the same outcome in a sense. Akihiro Suzuki and Shintaro Kawabata winning in Pro-Am, Shinji Takei, Ukiya Sasahara second, and Banksy in third. After that, it's Suzuka and Cozzolino for fourth, Akita and Kobayashi for fifth, and Taichi Watarai in sixth. The GT3 Pro-Am at the end of our 8-race season. So the podium ceremonies will continue. The next group of drivers being brought forward. And as they do so, the drivers in GT3 Am, you've already gone on the podium. Masayoshi Oyama, Masayuki Ueda for third place. For second place, Ruchiro Oyagi. And there are the winners yet again. The champions of the season already, Tadeo Uematsu and Hirokatsu Suzuki. They won yesterday to win the championship. They've won again today. There is no stopping them. Trophies again from Stefan Rattel. And the Team Makeda squad celebrating down below. There is the solo driver, Ruchiro Oyagi. You had dramas yesterday, but second place today. Doing an hour on your own, I know that's what people are going to have to do for a stint later on, but if you're an Am doing an hour on your own, that's quite a lot in the car. It's pretty warm.
Yeah, really, especially in that older generation Nissan as well. And, the front engine cars, you always get warmer as a driver because all that heat coming through the front bulkhead, and yeah, you just need to make sure you keep hydrated as well. That's the hardest bit, is in an hour. If you're not drinking while in the car, you get dehydrated, and that's when mistakes creep in.
Yesterday, the mistake was pitting the wrong side of the window, but today it's all gone well for Ruichiro Oyagi, and there he is then on the podium. So the drivers continue the celebrations. It's all rather crowded as they huddle together for the group photograph, and the champagne awaits as again the racing queens run for one side, and Ruichiro Oyagi is most definitely the champagne victor.
Got there very early. The problem is you go early, you're now going to have nothing to defend yourself. It's 2 versus 1, so I think he should make his escape as well. Generally lovely to see how well all these drivers getting on at the end of a championship as well. It's fierce battling on track, but friendly off, and that's what Japan Cup seems to be all about, which is great to see.
So there are very happy drivers atop the podium. And the teams down below joining in the celebrations as well. Well done to Tadeo Uematsu, Hirokatsu Suzuki. And another victory goes their way in GT3 AM. Team Makina running a solid car, may not necessarily be the outright fastest in terms of GT3, but in its category, it has done exactly what is required. And 190 points to give them the championship to the 109 of Ruichiro Oyagi at the end of the season, with Masaki Nishikawa and Atsushi Tanaka coming home in third. After that, Takashi Toyoda and Kazuki Ota in the car guy racing Ferrari, Masayoshi Oyama and Masayuki Ueda taking fifth at the end of the season. So the GT4 drivers are going to be next. And for the overall GT4 podium, third place to Kahai Atsuma and Hiroaki Nagasawa, who win the AM element of it. The second place, yesterday's outright winners Yoshitomo Makino and Takeshi Suhiro. And there for the top step for the 7th time in 8 races, the champions of the season, Haridama Manopo and Saita Nonaka. The Indonesian-Japanese partnership, Indonesian driver Manopo, Japanese driver Nonaka. Stefan Rattel arrives with the trophies. GT4, a popular category around the globe. In some nations, it's run as the championship, like France, for example. There's a very successful European series. In other nations, it's a second category, running alongside GT3. And it's a category that always delivers good racing. Lots of available cars as well, and in Japan Cup terms, the impetus is growing. I think the tendency has been to try to win outright, but today you can see the Toyota Gazoo Racing Indonesia squad celebrating their championship with the T-shirts, and that hopefully will encourage more drivers and more teams into Japan Cup for next season. You can go GT racing, it's a great venue, it's at a slightly lower cost than GT3.
Yeah, exactly. We have 10 different manufacturers in European GT4, so like you said, David, lots of cars to choose from as well, and the balanced performance, making sure that all 10 are able to win, and it's down to the drivers and teams to extract the performance.
So now the champagne is readied for our victorious drivers in GT4. There'll be a separate podium for GTC and also for the AMs in GT4, but excellent work done by the Indonesian Toyota Gazoo Racing squad all season. That has just been the car to beat, and it was only playing it safe to win the championship yesterday that has cost them the clean sweep of 8 out of 8 victories, but 7 out of 8 is not bad, is it?
Not too bad, is it? And,
not too shabby.
They'll maybe come back next season and try and make it 8 and 8 and be reigning champions at the same time.
So as our winning drivers GT4 make their way from the podium, a season of success for Toyota Gazoo Racing Indonesia. And there off the podium go Haridama Manopo and Saito Nonaka, the 2 drivers. Let's have a look then at the GT4 situation at the end of the year. We know it's been rather dominated by Toyota, but Haridama Manopo and Saito Nonaka coming home atop the standings with the best efforts of the Porsche teams to stem the tide, putting Yoshitomo Makino into second. His early season co-driver Daiki Fujiwara third, ahead of Yoshihiko Nagai and Betty Chen, who also win GT4 AM. They're not here this weekend, but they are champions themselves. There's Tiger Wu. He is your GTC winner. bit short of company, but it's good to have more cars on the grid. GTC, GT Cup for the so-called monobrand GT cars, such as Porsche and Ferrari or Lamborghini, all coming out of the manufacturer one make championships. And it's a good way to come and learn about GT racing, if you like, without the expense of a full-blown GT3 car. Lots of those cup cars, older style cup cars available, whether, as I say, Porsche, Lamborghini or Ferrari.
Yeah, there's a few cars in the world now. I think the McLaren Artura is able as well in its trophy spec. So, yeah, another good way to get out racing the GTC class. We'll see if they pop around the world in places.
So Tiger Wu has a podium to himself. The Bingo Racing run Porsche is little consolation for the team, but Bingo Racing, of course, running the car of Shinji Takao and Naoki Sasahara, having lost the championship, but they do win a class. A brilliant year of racing and a great weekend of action here. Our GT champions crowned in Japan Cup, an epic season of racing. Thanks for your company here at Suzuka. We'll see you next year.